Hello and welcome everybody to the CEA Finals. I am Thousand Eyes, that is MXL, and we have a best of 5 for y'all between Garmin and Ford. Brennan, how are you doing today? Because it's been a while.
It has been a long while. Doing pretty all right, and very excited to see what's going to happen between these two teams. Last time they fought, it was a little one sided from the looks of things.
Definitely, yeah. It seemed to be a little bit going one way rather than the other, but it is a new day. It is a new series, and I'm sure these teams have been trying to figure out what went right and what went wrong. So do not count on things going the same, especially too, because this is the Group B where things are a little bit more hectic. Things go a little bit more up and down.
More than a little bit, and it is also worth noting the last time these two teams played was back at the end of October. Uh, Much different meta now.
Yeah,
Ambessa's in the game and playable, so
true.
much different set of champions that we're probably going to see. Um, it'll be interesting to see how much of this carries over, and I'm sure, as you're aware, Tessa, meta can change for teams, and it can really point in time.
Not just that, but it can change within the series itself. As things continue onwards, it'll be like, oh, this character's broken. We have to ban that, which means this now gets through, which changes what you respond with. There's always a lot of different things there. I do want to go through here. It is going to be a $1,200 donation pool split between these two teams. 800 to first place, 400 to second. Garmin playing for the United Way of Greater Kansas City, and Ford is working for Toys for Tots. So just wanted to call that out before we got any deeper. I always love working with CEA for this exact reason. Having the charities get a lot of money, and it's substantial money as well, is always a very nice bonus on top of everything else.
Yeah, always feels super good to see. And it's awesome to be able to play for these players, to be able to play for a charity, right? You're representing, sure, Garmin is Garmin, you're representing the company, but you're also kind
Hmm.
of representing United Way of Greater Kansas City. And
Hmm.
for Ford, it's the same deal. They're representing Toys for Tots. So you're kind of double dipping your representation, rather, which is always enjoyable to see.
Absolutely. I think we do have a bracket view to see how these teams got where they got. If we could take a look at that. And you can see, yeah, Garmin going through the winners bracket here has been doing really, really well. Ford also, honestly, not doing too bad. The 2-0 into the 2-1. But it is gonna be a tough fight either way. Do have champ select ready, so why don't we go over to that and see how things are going to shake out?
Yeah, interesting always to see some of these more targeted bans, right? Malzahar being first banned from Ford is not something I would say is meta, but if you're very comfortable on that champ, it's definitely worthwhile to get rid of those counter picks.
Absolutely, yeah. The Kassadin is an interesting one. Have not seen a lot of Kassadin in the current meta. The Swain does make sense. We kind of talked about this before we went in. Ford has played Swain 80 carry, so it has been played in the bot lane as well. Kind of a flexible champion. Also, very difficult to try and punish. Once it hits level 6, you can't dive that champion for anything. Ford gonna lock in the Wukong as the first pick. Definitely aiming for comfort here.
Yeah, and it is worth noting in their semifinals, Ford did opt into playing that Wukong mid lane, so it could kind of go anywhere at this point, as far as I'm concerned. But all right, I gotta go find a pillow or something. We've got a Yumi.
Yeah,
It's
we
nap
got a
time.
Sivir. That's what I'm more upset about. Oh, it's gonna be a farm lane. It's gonna be bot lane doing
Yeah.
nothing. Sivir Yumi, the epitome of just chill and farm in the bot lane. So it is going to be very defensive. Now, it is going to be nice for Sivir to be able to spell shield that Wukong ult, try and get out before the second activation comes through. Syndra locked in.
All
Again,
right. Well,
Sivir's still pretty solid into that because you spell shield the stun. There's a lot of ways Sivir can stay alive in this so far, but this is definitely looking like a team that wants to try and set up picks and snowball really fast.
yeah, and they want to play this game fast because I'm sure we all remember the days of Sivir having that 100 CS win condition, right? You 500 CS, not 100, but
I
you just sit there, you scale in. What? What's the look for?
we picking Blitzcrank into Sivir is not something I usually
All
see.
right, I would agree with you. However, the Sivir still has to press the spell shield.
That
Like if
is
she
true.
doesn't, it's two for the price of one.
Yeah, that's true. She does have to hit it. It is a button. Um, just yeah, it is gonna be difficult. Maybe possibility of just roaming as well.
Yeah.
We don't know what the mid lane is going to be for Garmin, but it does kind of force Garmin into a situation where they have to consider trying to take something that can handle support roams to the mid lane there. The Ornn standard blind pick top to just play safe. Don't know what you're up against. Could be the Wukong technically, could be something else. You just want to make sure that you do not die. Looks like Garmin really want to just get to the mid to late game.
Yeah, and I actually really like seeing this Iron Band that would kind of stop a lot of what Ford looks to be wanting to do. Of note, when you do pick that Yumi, there is almost no roam potential from this character. I would
Yeah.
expect to see Ford playing towards those grubs right as they spawn, Blitzcrank run up, and you're going to be 4v3 every single time. Sivir Yumi is just going to be chilling bot lane, so I'm
Yeah.
expecting a lot of action topside from Ford.
Yeah, if I see that cat in the river, I'm squashing her like a bug, basically.
Yeah.
You do not let her do that. Hui gonna get banned away from Garmin. I think that is a really solid ban as well. Would give them a lot of extra damage with it, which I think Garmin needs. Sivir, while she has a lot of utility in her kit, she does not have the same level of damage as a lot of other AD carries. So you do need something that has that damage in the mid lane. And Garmin, they're gonna have to look at possibly picking that up now or probably their jungler, I would assume. No, they're gonna go for the mid lane. They're gonna
Yeah, I
go for
mean,
the Lux now.
you see the Syndra, you see the support that's coming in. I don't really like Lux here. I think it is just going to be way too easy to abuse, but if you get off the ground with this champ, it is really tilting getting hit by a single bind in one shot right after. But Kindred Volibear locked in. Is that Kindred AD carry?
I you might it might be. It might be. It could
Oh,
also technically be Syndra in the bot lane as well.
yeah. Wukong mid.
So
Okay. I think I like that way more.
yeah, yeah. I because they have played the Wukong in solo lanes
Yeah.
before. We know that they have. Xin Zhao gonna be the last lock in there. Garmin, I think going for a pretty standard composition. The only thing that I worry about is their overall damage. Because they are Sivir, Lux are the damage, and Lux is very burst oriented, and it's going into a Kindred and a Blitz Volibear Wukong. All champions that can take that burst.
Yeah, and that's part of the concern I had with that Lux pick, right? You would
Mm.
open up that ability for them to just pick another tank. Volley into Ornn, I really don't think Volibear cares how that lane goes. He's just going to get really beefy. Lux isn't going to have the ability to shut that down. I'm a little hesitant to say it's going to go one way or the other, but I do, again, expect to see Ford play hyper aggressive early. And especially if this is going to be the Syndra bot lane, I don't think Sivir Yumi has the ability to punish it in the 2v1, which just opens up Ford to take control over the game.
Yeah, exactly. Things honestly, Ford, all the pressure is on them. They have to be the ones taking control of this game early. The possibility of Xin Zhao getting around the map and doing something in some of these lanes, it's kind of like when I see a comp like this, that Xin Zhao is like the engine of this team. It is trying to get them off the ground, get them moving early, do something in the early game so that you can then snowball into the mid game with somebody strong versus Ford. They have to be strong. They are setting up picks. They are trying to get ahead early and use that gold advantage because they will eventually get outscaled, you would imagine.
Yeah, and that's part of why I really liked to see that Ivern ban, right? It
Hmm.
helps negate any sort of ability for Garmin to just play ultra safe, play through that Sivir, and make sure she's able to scale in pretty much without a worry. Um, getting rid of a lot of that utility. So, a really smart draft coming out from Ford, I think, and Garmin just needs to hope that they don't get rolled over in the first like 15, 20 minutes, because that's really where I'm expecting to see Ford take over the game.
Yeah, definitely. I do believe we are getting underway for the champ select here. But we are going to send it to a quick break while we wait for that, guys. Oh, actually, no, we're going to get into that now. Sorry, my bad. They have already done it. Okay, cool. We know where things are going. Cool. It is the
Yeah,
Syndra in
okay.
the bot lane. That
This
was
makes
kind of
way
my
more
big
sense.
question. Yeah. Kindred in the jungle, Wukong mid, Syndra in the bot lane. Now, this is interesting just from the standpoint of you have the Wukong mid versus a Lux. You have the possibility of Lux just kind of zoning out this Wukong, but if Wukong could get on to Lux in this lane, could really start to zone her out.
Yeah, and I mean the passive isn't going to be super useful for Wukong, right? The auto attack and you get armor into a mage. Good for you, buddy.
Mhm.
But it is a little hairy. It is a very mobile mid laner, and Kindred can abuse that fairly well, I would think. I would expect to see a lot of action towards that mid lane, especially Blitzcrank. Maybe just runs there at level 3. It'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, very, very possible. But now we are going to send it to a quick break, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll have game one right after this.
XP League is a youth esports organization that combines the thrill of competitive gaming with the values of teamwork, leadership, and personal growth. Designed for kids 7 to 17, XP League bridges the gap between gaming and life skills by offering a structured environment where players can develop their talents under the guidance of certified coaches. Our league focuses on popular games like Fortnite, Rocket League, Overwatch, Valorant, and Apex Legends, emphasizing strategy, communication, and sportsmanship. Beyond the games, XP League Franklin, primarily based in Tennessee, fosters a strong sense of community by involving families and creating opportunities for young gamers to connect, grow, and succeed both in and out of the digital arena. Our strong coaching staff has allowed us connections to colleges all across the U.S., where alumni of our program have gone on to compete on scholarships, and recently we became a partner to ExoClan, an EU-based professional esports organization, which is allowing us dedicated time with pro-level coaches, players, and managers. Whether your child is new to esports or looking to take their skills to the next level, XP League Franklin is the place to play, learn, and thrive.
And welcome back, everybody. We are into game number 1. We have Ford on the blue side and Garmin on the red. Teams will just be getting underway. I'm not expecting anything super crazy. Blitzcrank might go around and try and fish for a hook, but should be pretty standard outside of that.
Yeah, I would be expecting it more if he ran out the base with the rest of their team, but doesn't seem to be the case. However, it looks like the rest of the team might still want this.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
They're walking in. They definitely see this. They're gonna spot
Flash
it out.
hook?
Flash, not going to land. Flash is just far enough away. Arrow Fighter will live to see another day, but it is a support flash for a mid lane flash, and that Blitzcrank has Hex Flash. So
Yeah.
it is definitely making Arrow Fighter more susceptible to ganks, more susceptible to the Wukong dive.
Oh no. Turtle doesn't have items either.
Minions have spawned.
I don't know if he
You
realizes
can't
this.
clear without the jungle item.
Oh no. This could be really bad for Garmin to start.
I'm not gonna say this could be. This is really
It is,
bad. This is horrific, actually, because you're not gonna hit level 2 off of
don't-
the red buff.
And you don't get the healing from hitting it, so
You
you're
don't get the
just
healing
gonna
from
die.
hitting it.
And
Since
he
out could actually
realizes
he
now.
realizes it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which the problem is that puts him way behind the 8 ball on timers, and Rashad is gonna now be able to just do whatever they want, just walk around the
Now-
map, be okay.
Counterpoint to that, it is warded out, right? So the chickens are warded. There could be the assumption that maybe Zin just started bot side then. Like if
He's
this
gonna
ward
mess with their head.
drops,
Yeah.
like it could play this mental game, right? Kindred's
How could-
looking to go over the wall and try to steal the red right now.
How
That's
can?
bad.
Yeah, no, that is pretty bad. Does see?
Oh, this is
Turtle
toxic.
Esquire is just starting the red. I think probably confused as hell, seeing him at level 1.
Yeah.
Will flash over the wall, and in comes boosted as well. Mr. Turtle will get away, does survive, but we're waiting even longer, and now we don't even have the surprise factor.
Yeah, no, now I can't even try to make this one good. That is really unfortunate, and that will now force Turtle to go into this bottom side. That entire top jungle is gone. Maybe there's a world they can try to go for some Raptors in the opposite side. It's tough. It's an uphill battle right now, and to go back to the play earlier, the Blitzcrank flash for the Lux flash, that just enables, again, that Blitz to start looking towards that mid lane more often, more consistently even. So I am expecting a lot of action, especially after the rough start from Turtle towards that mid side.
Absolutely. But luckily, the lanes mostly are just looking to stay alive. They're not looking to do anything crazy. They were not relying on the Xin Zhao ganks to win this game, like Ford kind of are in the opposite direction there. We're getting proxy farming by boosted. Kyler is ahead on levels, though, as well, which is kind of funny, but that is because of the roam over to make sure that Rashad could get that Xin Zhao back in the base. Still only 4 farm on this. Xin Zhao does grab the blue buff, and probably will start to look for a gank somewhere soon.
Yeah, might be wanting to wait for that level 3. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting to see how Turtle can pilot this from this far behind. Because you mentioned it during the draft, and I do fully agree with this. This Xin Zhao was kind of the entire early game for Garmin. So to see it start off on the wrong foot could be a pretty rough sign of things to come.
Very much so. Right now, seeing what we expected here, the Sivir Yumi just pushing the wave and not really being punishable. So Lux also pretty much doing the same here, just pushing waves. Wukong not able to find an opening here. Now, Kindred is nearby. Rashad could go for a mid lane gank, but I think they'd rather wait until the level 6 hits where Wukong could really set that up better.
Yeah. I mean,
good find.
Fairly all right there from Arrow. The one thing to keep in mind, too, we mentioned it is a later scaling draft for Garmin here. They do have the ability to kind of play around it. Lux Sivir is a ridiculous amount of wave clear, so they can kind of just stall out games super easily if Ford is not able to shut down these two champions, right? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this one will play out.
Oh, boosted, going for the proxy again. I think not ready for the Zhao. Will get the shield, but now has to back away, and I don't think there is a way out. In comes Kyler. Kyler does not have mana. Now just going to flash onto the Zhao. Cannot get the kill, and boosted will fall. First blood going to the Ornn.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, that went pretty all right. Did not have flash for Hurdle on the Wukong. Does end up getting the flash for flash trade out in the top side, and Ornn is one of those champs that with any sort of gold becomes absolutely unkillable. Oh, that was a close hook, but not quite enough for Hoogie in the bot lane.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting much out of this bot lane. I hate to say it, but it's tough to try and do something to a Sivir here.
Yeah.
Spell Shield can block either one of those, and blocking one usually means the other will not hit either, unless you're really landing it. Damage is a lot more than I expected from this Sivir. Will make things a little tougher in the bot lane. Shots from farm, down on farm pretty significantly here. And Rashad is going to be down on life, dashes away from the bind, but the Lux ult is going to hit. Now here comes the cavalry. Mr. Turtle will fall. Arrow Fighter not anywhere to go. Flash is in place. Jukes him, but there's boosted, ready for the double kill, and Volibear is back in the game.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It was a good early play. Lux getting that first kill with the final spark as well, but just not quite enough left in the tank to get out or to take down that Volibear who had the first move. Ornn now here to fight.
Ornn showing up, but I don't think Ornn wins against the Volibear.
Not with red buff.
The lore battle might be different, but I think in-game, Volibear pretty good at just brawling with people, and with a 2-kill advantage, it's not gonna look too much better.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. It was a good play to get that kill early onto the volley, but now, yeah, like you mentioned, boosted kind of back in the game off of that one, and Bind misses.
Does go to the clone now. Just sitting there waiting. Arrow Fighter trying to buy time for Mr. Turtle to come in. No ult from Unicorn, and Jin Zhao at the right place, at the right time. A much needed kill going to Mr. Turtle after a really disastrous start.
Yeah, still 6 camps behind in farm at the moment. We'll probably drop that down to 5 after that crab, but it is signs of life coming out.
Ooh.
Oh boy, that's tough.
Signs of death as well, apparently, as Kindred.
What is Kindred?
Going in and taking down Lux as Kyler needs to get
Boosted
back
doesn't have
over.
ult.
Does not have the boosted.
Okay.
Is going to go down. Okay, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Minions going down to the tower, technically in favor of boosted, but still kill going over to the Ornn. Ornn going to scale up.
Yeah, 1-for-1 there, and I think you are right. Boosted comes out on top, but starting with the, I think that is Unending Despair, if I'm not mistaken. They look very similar.
Let me. Yeah, no, that is Unending Despair, and that honestly makes sense in a tank battle. Meanwhile, ult battle in the mid lane as here comes the mid lane as Wukong ready to get in. Mr. Turtle flashes away. Do not land the final spark. Mr. Turtle gonna get under tower. No! The Wukong Q just in time, and Unicorn will snatch up a kill.
Arrow Fighter just barely missing that Kindred with the Lucent Singularity, and unfortunately it goes slightly awry. The 1-for-0 in the mid lane. my concern right now is Hugi now still is bot lane, right? We mentioned in the beginning of the draft, I want to see this Blitzcrank roaming, try to impact the rest of the map. And while the fights currently seem to be going in Ford's favor, I just want to see that Blitzcrank accelerate this game so much more. Staying bot with Syndra just feels like the wrong answer.
You also got the Moby boots. You got the roaming boots here, the synthetic souls, as they are called.
Rest easy, Mobies.
Yeah, I'm gonna call them Mobies. I don't care.
Yeah.
Listen,
Same.
I've been playing this game. I still call them Ninja Tabi sometimes. All right, I'm an old head.
Sometimes I do it all the time still.
Oh well, I'm at least a little better than that.
Okay.
Rashad gonna have to walk away. Mr. Turtle is fast though, going to hit the wind
No ult
become
either.
lightning and will just go down. Mr. Turtle again, just getting gifted a nice kill.
Yeah, and Blitzcrank once again running into this bot lane. It just seems ill-advised, right? Now you're looking at Ford being 1,000 gold behind on this early composition. And while this was all happening, top died solo. Thanks, director camera.
Oh, Director Camera usually likes top lane. I'm surprised we didn't see that, but
Yeah,
it's
I saw an
Ornn.
Ornal, and I was like, oh, nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden, Volibear's dead, so...
Yeah, Ornn getting away with murder, literally. Meanwhile, Dragon going in the favor of Garmin as well. Things looking solid for Garmin. We said that Ford needed to get ahead early and they needed to kind of just get off the ground in the big game. Right now, they're at a gold disadvantage and a Dragon disadvantage.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the Dragon is offset by those first 3 grubs that they did get, so it's not the end of the world. You generally will see that trade happen of 3 grubs for 1 Drake, 6 grubs for 2 Drakes, etc. Right now, we are seeing, of course, the 6th grub coming in for the side of Ford. So they're able to, if they get to a turret, shred through it almost instantly. The issue is still going to be getting to that turret with the Sivir in the game, with the Lux in the game, and especially without having a Baron available. It seems like they're just falling behind, and Blitzcrank roamed up for that early, for that second grub play, but now is running straight back to the bot lane.
Some grubs for your troubles, Rashad. In the enemy jungle, does not know there's the Jin Zhao on the way to the top lane. Now sees him and Boosted's got to hold them off. Wait for the Kindred to show up. TP showing up from the Wukong. Are they going to go for the dive here? Boosted doesn't have the ult once again. They can't turn this tower off. They have the Kindred ult. They're just going to take the fight. Boosted is going really low. Kindred not using the ult just yet. Don't need it. Mr. Turtle Esquire goes down. Boosted now going to use the ult. Times it with the tower shot, will survive at a clean 2-0, going over for Ford.
Yeah, it looked a little hairy at a few points, but ultimately 2-0 in the top side. They're able to finally break through one of these towers, and that is a much-needed gold injection for the side of Ford. They are now sitting 2,000 gold in the lead.
Yeah. Lux able to push in the mid lane, bot lane also still continuing to play aggressive here, but top lane has really been where all of the action has ended up, and at the very least now Ford do have that first tower. They have taken the gold advantage once again like they needed to do. I also want to see if we could get a stack check on Rashad there, because I know that Kindred is going to be trying to stack
3.
up. We are at 3. It is 4 that the break point you need in order to really turn online, get that extra range for the Kindred, and Rashad 1 stack away from it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when that 4th stack comes in. It does feel like at this point it is just an inevitability, but we'll have to see. Of course, after that 4th stack, it's every 3. You get a little bit of extra range. All your abilities do a little more damage. It feels pretty nice to keep stacking, so we'll keep an eye on that through the remainder of the game, but tough right now. We're in a lull state, unfortunately. I say that, and then Boosted and Kyler are just whacking each other.
That is a lull state. The lull state is them beating the crap out of each other, really.
Of course.
But does mean Boosted just has a lot of control on this top side. Also means Boosted can get jumped if he's not paying attention to the rest of the map. But the map is not focused on top lane right now, even though they are just going to continue to do it. Lots of movement on the bottom side. Actually, Wardle coming out, going to counter with the Volibear ult,
Oh
but
my
the
God.
damage is just way too much. And Kyler, another solo kill on the top side.
Yeah, and that's rough. That one is one you probably want back if you're boosted, but it is more gold into Kyler's pocket. This Ornn has a Cole even, so is just really playing for farm it out, get to an unkillable point.
Yeah, and that is kind of the thing too, is like Kindred is the insurance for Ford. Everybody else is a mid-game spiking beast. Kindred is the only one that can really scale here, and don't think it's going to be coming for a little bit. Yeah, the fourth stack is a good break point, but it is just one break point, and Kindred needs to be able to put out damage to kill this Ornn.
Yeah. He's just going to be too tanky, and it looks like Rashad is opting into the Collector second, which means even less tank shredding options available. So it is a little concerning to see, but it could turn out all right. We've got Drake spawning here in a little bit. Kindred will be trading that for that Rift Herald from the looks of it. So again, trying to play for those towers, trying to just accelerate at least to their map control, but it is coming at the cost of those two early Drakes.
Herald getting taken by Ford now as well. Hopefully can start to open the map. Dragon started by Garmin in the meantime. Unicorn just going into the pit, and now Garmin are trying to disengage. No, looking for the fight. Mr. Turtle already lost a quarter HP. Rashad still hitting the Dragon. Will just steal it away while they're not paying attention. Wukong all on to 3, and there goes one. Arrow Gamer flashing over the wall. Kindred ult will keep them alive for a little bit, but it is just the Sivir alive in this fight. Can't make the damage enough. And Kyler left alone. Arrow Fighter coming in, burst, hitting, boosted. Left alone, Ordalt to try and disengage, boosted. Not going to get those final 2 kills, but is going to help get the Dragon and get a couple of important kills onto this Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, the fight going heavily in favor of Garmin. Yeah, that doesn't change that.
Right.
Well, an extended 5 for 3 in favor of Garmin. They lose the Drake, sure, but they need to win those fights, right? That is a sign that you are taking good fights as this later scaling team, and it's only going to get worse for Ford from here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Yib was alone there, just hitting, unfazed for so long. And the Sivir was hurting. The Sivir was doing some work, just not enough to confirm a couple of those kills instantly. Eventually, they lock it down, but like you said, Dragon going over to Ford does take away the Dragon stacking win con for at least a little bit longer.
Yeah, but I don't think Garmin necessarily cares about that at this point in time. They got the first, so that Drake is, the soul point at least, is going to be 15 minutes away, right? It is, they probably would have preferred if they were able to get it themselves in that 10-minute mark, but there's no chance at Ford getting it for 15 minutes. By that point, your comp is going to be fully online, and you should be more than comfortable taking a fight at that point.
Syndra now on the top lane. As boosted will hang out in the bot. Not exactly having the greatest time. Will not get hit by the bind. Mid lane tower goes down for Give. But now stuck around 3 different players. Wukong with the Cyclone will grab one. Yuumi left alone. Gets hit by the Cyclone just in time. Can't get over to Mr. Turtle. Mr. Turtle will watch the team fall, head back to that tier 2, and a little bit of gold back to Ford.
Yeah, it's just a good punish coming out from Ford. There was no reason, really, for the side of Garmin to try and force that bot turret down, but looks like we might be having a fight again.
Top lane, Ornn in trouble and has to flash back under the tower. Mr. Turtle's here, but health bar is not looking good for Garmin.
Yeah, meanwhile, it looks like Lux died in the bot side, so Volley just gets that turret as well. Wave clear ult coming out from Ornn. Oh boy.
Oh, what a stun. And there's Mr. Turtle just going in, sacrificing himself for Kyler, trying to clear this wave. None of the wave clear champions are up here right now, and Kyler needs a little bit of help. There's nobody available just yet. Lux respawning just now. And I think this tier 2 may end up going down.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, this game's exploded in the favor of Ford. The hook just barely missing there, but this is not what you want to see after that early fight from Garmin. It looked so promising, and now everything just seems to be falling apart at the seams.
It's not ideal. You definitely would rather have this be a much slower game, but it has just been kind of brawly, and that has worked out in favor of Ford right now. They are sitting at a 5,000 gold lead, despite the kills. A lot of that coming from the objectives that they've gotten alongside Rashad's massive advantage in the jungle right now. What are we at for Kindred stacks now? Did we get that 4th stack? We are at 6.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we are online as Kindred, and this Kindred is going to chew through that Ornn right now.
Yeah. It will only get worse as fights keep progressing. If these fights end up close, Kindred's guaranteed, all but guaranteed, to get at least a stack out of them, right? So it'll be interesting to see how many more really explosive fights we have throughout the remainder of this game. However, Drake's spawning in 40 seconds, and it looks like Rashad is just now resetting, so we'll be late to that objective setup. However, rest of the team in position. Blitzcrank and Syndra already in the river.
Turtle attaching to the beat. Vine does not hit. Move speed just enough. Final spark goes wide. And there will be a lot down for Garmin for this dragon fight. That final spark actually gonna come back up. That's Malignance on the Lux. So that ultimate is a basic spell at this point.
Yeah, it's already 2/3 off cooldown. So it'll be up very quickly. But Ford does get into river first. They are in position. Let's see if Ornn wants to look for this TP. Comes in through the bot side.
TP from Boosted here. Ornn on the bottom side here. They don't have that front line. Blitzcrank going in. The dragon is taken by Ford. Big ult. Final spark hits a bunch. There's a lot of damage being done, but they don't have the damage to finish him off. The Kindred ult will heal them just a little bit, but it's 1-for-1 right now. Sivir is gone. Xin Zhao is gone. Ford looks strong. A triple kill going over to shots from afar. There goes Hoogie, but Arrow Fighter not going to do much more as 4 go down in favor of Ford.
Oh, gets one back at least, but yeah, rough fight all around. Sivir getting caught by that Blitzcrank hook. Doesn't matter that Yib was inside that Kindred ult. Just goes down right after it. No way out. Didn't burn the flash. Rightfully so. I would say you're probably just going to die anyway. But a really unfortunate series of events for Garmin, and now Ford is once again in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I would have said they were already in the driver's seat. The pedal is now going down further, right, for Ford. They are looking strong, and they are now very much in control. And the thing, too, is they're the ones who have gotten the early towers, meaning that objective control has become theirs. Baron is very wide open and very scary for Garmin to walk up towards. And I think Ford will be able to just continue to set up vision, set up picks, and a good pick will lead to a Baron.
Yeah, the one good news for Garmin, or one piece of good news for Garmin in relation to that Baron is Arrow Fighter's ult being such a low cooldown means you're able to just face check it using Lux ult pretty consistently. You're not losing a ton of value for that, and you're able to make sure you have some sort of response planned. The blue trinkets as well for both Lux and Sivir will help significantly with keeping them off that neutral, but Turtle might be caught again.
Turtle how quickly Turtle goes down. Smite over to Rashad. The rest of the team has shown up, and they're just going to go in. Boosted as now here as well. Yib goes down in favor of the Wukong, and now Kyler just walks in alone. Mr. Turtle gonna get grabbed by the Volibear. Rashad not going to stay alive, and that is the one person who could kill this Ornn. Kyler doing so much work for the team in a 1v3 situation. Kyler still trying to run nice, unstoppable. The stun will hit, but look, Kyler doesn't take damage. This Ornn is unkillable with the Yuumi, and the Volibear dies trying to dive the Lux. Kyler now turning around, going forward, but shots from afar still trying to kite him out. Kyler just does not die.
Yeah, and it looks like finally that disengage will come through, but I have 3 words for that entire fight. I hate Yumi. That was disgusting to watch. The final spark!
That was bindless as well.
Yeah.
The final spark just aimed in the right direction. Arrow Fighter, another win, and as soon as Ford have a win, Garmin respond in kind. It is still a 5k gold advantage for Ford, but we said that they needed to have a gold advantage much earlier, and it needed to be consistent. They needed to be in control of the game, and they have been for most of it. But Garmin are starting to scale up. We have seen what the Ord can do when Kindred is taken off the table, and if that happens again, that's a team fight win for Garmin.
Yeah, you mentioned that gold lead. One thing that isn't reflected in that gold lead are the masterwork items completed. Kyler G with the Hollow Radiance. Now you have Arrow Fighter, Malignance upgraded. Yib has that Essence Reaver upgraded. So that is 3 extra items worth of gold thrown in. So yeah, the number says it's now just about 5,000, 5,500 gold in the lead for Ford, but it is realistically much, much less than that.
Yeah. Final spark used, trying to clear the way. Power will ball 700 gold over to Boosted. Turtle going in. I don't think Turtle wanted to take this fight, not realizing that there were many players waiting in the wings, and Ford will just take the jungler down. Syndra left alone. Kyler now here will hit the knockup, trying to chase down, but in the meantime, the Sivir has been left alone to try and fight Boosted. Kyler holding all 3. Final spark comes back again onto Boogie. Hoogie will go down eventually, and Kyler still alive in the backline. Yib still full health as well, and Kyler just has to run for it. Boosted showing up. The time is now. The Volibear finally should be able to get a kill, and the Ord falls. But a fight in honestly going both directions for Garmin and Ford.
Yeah, but ultimately they're the ones that come out on top, able to get that inhibitor, and might be trying to push for more. Yib's still relatively healthy, but Rashad's huge.
Oh, and Boosted as well. Rashad just doing untold amounts of damage, and that might be it. They just take a little bit too much from the Kindred. The towers going down, and Ford take game number 1 in a bloodbath.
Yeah, very, very back and forth. It felt like the early game going to Garmin felt a little strange, but Ford was able to claw it back, start being really aggressive in that mid stage of the game, and just really took their lead and completely shut down what it was that Garmin was looking to do.
I think if Ford were going to win that game, they had to end it there. They had to close it out very fast, because that Ornn was quickly getting out of control, and Yib for most of that fight was honestly untouched. The Volibear was trying to get all over Sivir, could not do the job. Eventually, though, they do lock them down. They do take the Ornn down. Everybody else follows, and Ford win game number 1. It is a best of 5, though, so there are a lot more games to play. And honestly, it's a best of 3. My bad. It's not paying attention. Regardless, still, we are getting we are still going to be seeing more games. Ford do have to be able to close it out, and that was by no means a close game.
I mean, it was and it wasn't, right? Like, there were points where it felt like it could have gone either way. Those fights started to get a little more skewed towards Ford the later the game went, but early on, I didn't feel super comfortable with how Ford was playing it, and it seemed like they were trying to play it slow, trying to play it a little too safe into a comp that was designed to scale, designed to play safe. So there are avenues, I think, for both sides to really drive home what it is they want to do. It's just a matter of actually executing on that. And I think once Ford realized, all right, we're strong enough to take these fights, they were able to just demolish every fight they wanted to take.
Yeah. We are going to see, though, the teams need a little bit of time to reconvene, figure out what they want to do next. We're going to send it to a quick break while they do so, but don't go anywhere. Come back. We'll have draft for game number 2. And welcome back, everybody. We have given the team some time, but we are here for our draft for game number 2. Ford, with a back and forth win, looked pretty in control for most of it, but definitely not as clean as we would have wanted. But now Garmin have the chance to come back. Garmin had their moments. I think there's a possibility here, definitely, for a 1-1 scoreline after this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at specifically that second Drake fight of that first game. The only thing that Garmin didn't get during that fight was the Drake itself. They went 5 for 3 in the kills in an early game team fight on a late game scaling composition. They executed that fight so much better than the side of Ford, and they just could not take that momentum with them. I want to see something a little more akin to that type of play that they had for this second game, because it felt like once they stopped having those super advantageous fights, they just didn't seem to know how to play from behind. So maybe they take a page out of Ford's book, try to play for that early aggression, and just pedal to the metal, see what happens.
I think a big thing was Ford's early game. Getting those towers really did do them a lot.
Yeah.
Because how many times did we see Garmin get caught out in their own jungle because it just wasn't safe to be there because they didn't have the protection of those towers. So Ford taking advantage of their strong early game, doing something with that now. Because this time around, things can switch around. We might have teams on opposite styles of compositions. We might get very different champions. We might get something really similar. Unable to know until the teams get into that draft. Do you expect anything to get banned that did not get banned in game number 1?
I mean, I think the things that would stand out to me would be potentially the Wukong or the Volibear. I don't think you realistically need to be banning that Blitz. The hooks that hit and were impactful later on, sure, you can look at those and say, all right, this champ's rough to play around, but I don't think it's Blitzcrank exclusive. I think you're going to end up having similar issues in the most playmakers. So it seems a little strange if that's the path you want to go down. Kindred Bandaway, though, is a little interesting. That one was not on the radar.
Yeah, it's honestly, I don't blame them. The Kindred definitely had control of the game, and it was the one thing I think that Garmin did not have a way to deal with. But it is going to be taken away. Viego as well. Everything else pretty standard. What did get through that did not get through in game number 1? I did not keep the draft, actually.
Let me double
from
check
game
the
number
draft.
1.
I have it up.
Yeah. But Wukong going to be the first pick. Once again, teams on same sides.
Ooh.
Wukong will grab the B1. Looked solid, definitely, in game number 1. But now, possibly different. No, we're just running it back.
Run it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that was left open from Garmin this time around was the Swain pickup. And with that Wukong,
Yes.
once again, more than likely going mid, I would expect to see shots from afar just pick up the Swain. I don't know how punishable it is by Sivir Yumi. And if you get through that lane, it's pretty all right, I would say, as the game progresses. Of note as well, Hugi no longer in the support role for game number 2 for the side of Ford. It will instead be Sinful Syntax coming in. So interested to see how that will change things. And already we're seeing potentially just Tom Kench as the change.
Yeah, and Tom Kench has been really good as of late, has been very, very strong, especially as a support role. We've seen that come back into play here. Wouldn't go too badly with the Swain. Just Swain out and hop in the Tom Kench stomach and walk it
It's
down.
disgusting.
It's a little difficult to deal with, and I honestly would not be surprised in the slightest to see that grabbed as this final pick before Ford have to get ready for the next ban phase.
Whoa.
Vayne is the lock-in, and Vayne is not what I was prepared for, but it is going to be a much more eccentric bot lane, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the pro draft classic of a champ getting auto-locked or if that's actually going to be a Vayne pick, but if it is, Vayne is notorious for just dumpstering Sivir post level 6. There is nothing that she can spell shield, so Vayne just gets to kind of have a field day. I definitely don't hate it, especially into an Ornn. If this is going to go through, it's not, it's Jhin. Okay. I'm sad. Vayne is Jhin. I would have liked Vayne a little more.
Oh, it is Jhin. Okay. Makes more sense, I think. But Jhin has also been a pretty solid AD carry. Now, it is making Ford's actual DPS a little bit of a struggle.
Yes.
And now we're not going to have the Kindred to take out this Ornn. It is on the shoulders of a Jhin, of all things. And that's not a great place to be.
All right, now hear me out, though. Vayne top. I don't think it's good.
Are they going to pick the Jhin in place?
Yeah, I mean, just for fun, right? And Besson and Volibear both taken off the table. Again, I think the Volibear ban makes total sense. We're once again seeing that Ivern ban. Same reason as game number 1. Just try and prevent this Sivir from being safe, right? Ivern would make her excessively difficult to kill. So taking it off the table, now it's only one enchanter protecting this AD. So interested to see how that will change things. I would expect to see Garmin pick up a jungler here and hold that mid for last pick, but we'll have to see what they look toward.
Yeah, Vel'Koz is going to be
not a jungler.
Not a jungler. Fun fact. Not a champion you see almost ever, especially outside of the support role. It's going to be Vel'Koz mid, of all things. Lilia
Lock it.
will be picked in. Honestly, I like the Lilia pick right here.
This is
need
huge.
Some AP. You need some max health damage, which will help with the Ornn. This is actually a really solid pick by Ford. They now have a little bit of a way. And the Kayle lock-in. Okay, they have some responses now to actually be able to take this Ornn down.
Yeah, and this was the ban away from Garmin instead of that Volibear last game. They banned away the Kayle, a pretty old counter pick into Ornn, not in the sense of you kill him ever, but he doesn't really kill you either. You get to skill in, you're not really at threat of dying early, so do like seeing that pick up, and now Turtle might be going to the Hecarim. It is locked in, so interesting pick. They have a lot of team fight coming out for the side of Garmin, and maybe there's a chance, right? Hecarim has that same early game potential as a Xin. Not to the same extent, but if he gets any sort of lead, we'll just be able to take over a game.
What's interesting is they had the opportunity to take the Lux again, and they opted against it in favor of the Vel'Koz. Same thing with the Xin Zhao. These last 2 picks could have been exactly the same.
Yeah.
Could have just ran it back. I do like the Hecarim. I think the Hecarim is still a decent early game jungler, but has much more team fight presence than the Xin Zhao. So Garmin have that kind of ability to fight in the mid to late game. Now the thing is, they definitely, I think, want to fight in the mid game because Kayle and Lilia will start to whittle them down very easily in the later portions of this game.
Yeah, and I'd want to go back to the Lux point as well. I actually really like the adaptation of Vel'Koz, except considering the fact that you're into Tom Kench, right? If you get hit by a Lux bind with a Kench on the enemy team, he eats the person out of the bind. There's no threat. There's no need for cleanse. There's no, Lux just gets super shut down by Kench. So I do like this adaptation. I think it gives them at least a little more to play around other than just hope the bind hits and one-shot somebody. But yeah, we'll have to see. I'm excited to see what the Lilia does, though. One of my favorite champs in this game. Always a blast to watch. However, things to note: can spell shield the sleep. It is awful.
Yes.
I hate when it happens. And I mean, it's hard for her to get in, right? Her whole shtick is movement speed. That's a Sivir and a Hecarim, who are also, their whole shtick is movement speed. Sivir ult, you have a pretty long range champion in Vel'Koz, so like getting into the fights seems like it could be a little hairy for Rashad this game.
Yeah, definitely is. We're going to see the full lineup here after everything has been picked. Nothing outside of what we expected
Yeah.
here. Kind of like we said, the Jhin, a little bit scary into this composition, but everything else looks really solid from Ford.
Yeah, I mean, the concern with Jhin is always dealing with frontline. He's notorious for doing a ton of damage to people who don't build health, but anyone who does, it feels kind of bad. And the more people that do, the worse it feels. They kind of work around that by opting into the Lilia and the Kayle at the last second. So the Kayle gives them a lot of that consistent damage they were missing by locking in the Jhin. And now you have a pretty good fight start or follow up coming in from Lilia. You have a little bit of extra magic damage thrown in. So I do really like the way they turned this draft with their last two picks. Again, I think all of the onus right now, though, is going to be on how Garmin can navigate this early stage with that Hecarim pickup.
Yeah, that is going to be the thing that is up in the air, but we're going to have to see how it plays out. We're going to send it to a quick break while we wait for game number 2. Are Ford going to close it out, or are Garmin going to take us to that final game? We'll see after this break.
XP League is a youth esports organization that combines the thrill of competitive gaming with the values of teamwork, leadership, and personal growth. Designed for kids 7 to 17, XP League bridges the gap between gaming and life skills by offering a structured environment where players can develop their talents under the guidance of certified coaches. Our league focuses on popular games like Fortnite, Rocket League, Overwatch, Valorant, and Apex Legends, emphasizing strategy, communication, and sportsmanship. Beyond the games, XP League Franklin, primarily based in Tennessee, fosters a strong sense of community by involving families and creating opportunities for young gamers to connect, grow, and succeed both in and out of the digital arena. Our strong coaching staff has allowed us connections to colleges all across the U.S., where alumni of our program have gone on to compete on scholarships, and recently we became a partner to ExoClan, an EU-based professional esports organization, which is allowing us dedicated time with pro-level coaches, players, and managers. Whether your child is new to esports or looking to take their skills to the next level, XP League Franklin is the place to play, learn, and thrive.
And welcome back, everybody. We're loaded in game number 2. Same teams on the same sides and in some ways a lot of the same champions. Board looking to close things out. Garmin wanting to keep themselves alive here in this finals, and teams will just go underway. No Blitzcrank, probably nothing happening here level 1.
I mean, there's always a window. Kench Q into Jin W could lead to something, but I don't expect to see a whole lot happen here. It should be just a standard 5-point, or mostly standard 5-point from the looks of things. Boosted finds Kyler, and Rashad and Arrow Fighter spot each other.
Just a bit of a hangout here. Arrow Fighter gonna back for the health.
Oh no.
Oh no, that does mean that top lane, Kyler, will be chased away. Rashad walks up. Kyler cannot walk back into that bush.
Yeah.
Do not do it. We gotta have a little object permanence.
Thought about it for a second, but did decide against it. Do like to see that. And the response, knowing that Lily is in that top side, to walk in as 3, get those 2 wards down, knowing exactly how this Lily is going to look to path early. Turtle also getting items at level 1 will feel much better this time around, I think.
Definitely is. We're seeing junglers start both on the bot side. Hecarim starting on those wolves. Lilia will be starting on the Raptors, it seems. Things will get underway. Now, top lane, different matchup. We don't have the Volibear. Kyler should really have control of this lane up on the top side. Bot lane, also fairly different here. Rather than going for those picks, it's a much more standard lane.
Yeah, I mean, there is a decent amount of synergy with that Jin and Kench. If you land that Kench Tongue Lash, oftentimes you will see the Jin root follow, and then the Tom Kench W follow right after. So, pretty nasty combination of spells that can come through. It'll be interesting to see if Yib opts into spell shielding one thing in particular, but mid is rough.
Is a lot of back and forth. Unicorn maybe not winning this as much as wanted, and has to back away. Clones just back to the tower. That's going to force a teleport there. Early advantage, I think, for Arrow Fighter.
Yeah, and especially considering it's the level 2 clone required to get out of that alive. So it does not have that skirmish potential. Arrow Fighter just dictating the lane this time around. Really like to see that coming through from the Vel'Koz. Not a champ that I think can normally do that early, but just playing it super well.
Very much so. In the back will come through. Shouldn't have to burn the TP because gets the wave in. Arrow Fighter in a good spot. Yib using the spell shield early. This Kale struggling a little bit. Boosted. Still wanting to fight. Walking a little bit too far forward, and Boosted in the same situation as we just saw Unicorn.
Yeah, normally the matchup here, you just want to play towards that level 6 point for the Kale. Get to a point where you're able to farm from range, and you're just going to be able to scale it out. But playing a little too aggressive early on. Pistol Dive comes through.
Gonna go in here. Yib still at full health, and Jin not able to land the shots. Simple Syntax take a lot of damage. We'll be able to heal some of that up with the gray health, but that is gonna whittle down bit by bit there. Turtle in a little bit of trouble there. Nice E from Arrow Fighter will disengage that Hecarim.
Yeah, and overall, we see those junglers matching each other, but Arrow Fighter might be caught. Just gonna get poked down. And it looks like Rashad should just be able to get that bottom crab, but dive potentially in the top side.
I think the biggest difference here is we're seeing Garmin win every lane that they had lost in the previous game with a lot of the same champions, just different matchups. And Garmin honestly feeling very good right now, especially on the health bar here. Experience-wise also would be very, very good for them. You can see everybody hitting the level 5 point. And in comes Rashad on the bot side doing some damage. Spell shield nice will keep Yib alive alongside the Yuumi. Burn the heal from Fluffy Pants, but Rashad, do not get anything from that.
Yeah, better safe than sorry for the Yuumi, and that's not necessarily a summoner they're going to be missing too much, so to be able to just walk away, still have that flash for the Sivir is really, really big in that gank, and now we're seeing that scaling start to come through. You mentioned last time as well, the Kindred being that scaling option is actually Boosted has a huge mana lead.
Boosted is just going to win this. Just auto attack Kyler down. There's no mana on that Ornn. If Kyler was able to do anything, Boosted would have died. But Boosted recognizing the strength available, and that is a massive win in the top side.
Yeah, just an overstay, it seems like, coming out from Kyler. Knew the wave was in a rough spot, wanted to try and get it under, but instead ends up losing their life, and the wave's still in a bad spot. So it's really the worst case scenario in that top side.
Right now, the Kale getting closer and closer to that level 6 point where that lane is going to shift dramatically, and that kill will only make that easier. Swifty boots picked up by the Kale. Was
I
not
don't hate it.
expecting that. Are a decent chunk of slows here. Looking at the Ornn slow, the Yuumi slow, and the Vel'Koz Q slowing as well. So it does give a little bit more ability to kite out.
Yeah, and also the potential to run down in the top lane as well. So if you are able to dodge out from anything up there, just to be able to chase after the Ornn, punish him, and prevent him from just getting away for free.
Are seeing the Grubs picked up. Garmin, a nice win for them despite how top had gone. Boosted does have the range now. Unicorn, honestly farming pretty well, all things considered, with how we saw that going earlier.
Yeah, I mean, getting to that Sheen as well means there's some sort of trading potential that can happen from the mid lane. So interested to see if maybe some sort of all-in comes through, if Lilia will look towards that mid side to try and shut down this Vel'Koz, but looks like Turtle wants top.
Turtle showing up. The Kale ult will be available, but is Boosted even going to use it? Yes, will do it. I don't think it's going to accomplish a whole lot there. Boosted trying to run away, flashes over the wall.
Ooh.
Will buy a little bit of time, but Turtle running down. Turtle not actually going to get the kill, can't get in range, and Boosted still alive on the run in the backline, in the jungle, and Kyler a little bit too slow to chase him down. Doesn't even have boots yet, and Boosted might be able to time this out to get the execute. Gonna go for the back, can't get it. Will it be an execute?
Oh,
It
no.
is, and Boosted getting away with a crime.
Yeah, I thought that flash was just wasted, realistically, but beautifully played by Boosted, and the Turtle just getting a little eager, I think, with that chase down. Ends up getting punished for it, and that surprising early kill damage coming through. Bot side, though.
You're already doing a lot of damage to this Jhin, and there is no ultimate from the Tom Kench. Does get under tower and timer shot, getting chased down as well. Turtle wants to make up for the mistakes in the
Oh,
top
he has
lane.
the move speed.
Still can't get in range, and in comes the curtain call. Turtle gonna walk around it, has to stay out, but now is way in enemy lines. Can't get out. Simple syntax grabs the kill, and it's another loss for Garmin.
Yeah, and we mentioned they have this late scaling comp. They don't need to be forcing as hard as they are, and it just seems like they're desperate to try and make something happen, try and get an early lead with this later scaling comp. It's just going from bad to worse right now for Garmin.
Garmin really do have to pick things up. They had it controlled this game fairly early on. Things looked really good for them. Now, a couple of crucial mistakes have given Kale 2 kills, have given another kill to the top 10. 3-0 for Garmin, a 1,000 gold lead, and a dragon to boot. So Ford very much back in the driver's seat, I would argue, once again.
Yeah, of note, though, this time around, Garmin with those 3 grubs early, so won't be 6-0 in the grub department for the side of Ford, currently sitting behind the 8 ball on that one. But again, first Drake over to Ford, pretty significant. I believe that bug is still in the spectator client, so we will be seeing a Hex Drake second. It's not going to be 2 Infernals. That's not how the game works. But could be interesting. I'm interested to see what soul we end up getting, because if it's another Ocean Soul, we could be in for a somewhat slower game if these teams decide to slow it down.
Right now, things starting to slow down just a little bit here. We do have our second set of grubs spawning in just a bit. Turtle in range for that, does get the Scuttle Crab, but lane just not really ever going to be in control for Kyler ever again. Had the 1 to 5 range to do so and did flub it just a little bit. Rashad showing up in the mid lane. He'll just walk away a little bit worse for wear.
Yeah, able to dodge out from everything from that Lilia is Arrow Fighter. So not a whole lot happening there. It does look like Ford wants to be trying to play for these Void Grubs, but it will be 3v3. Simple Syntax still staying down in the bot lane alongside the Jhin for the time being, but Arrow Fighter's potentially looking for something cheeky.
Looking at the Grubs, 2 going down. Rashad low on HP. In comes the Horn ult, but the Kale will keep the Lilia alive for now. Sleep doing so much. Turtle again cannot get it range in time. The story of the game, and now Arrow Fighter left to flash, can't get away from the Wukong. Gonna try and get a double kill, will succeed. Knockup doesn't hit on Unicorn, and Unicorn shuts down the Vel'Koz, will walk Kyler down, and another kill will go over to the Monkey King. A double kill for Unicorn.
Yeah, really, really big fight coming out for Ford. They're able to pick up all 3 of that second set of Grubs, so evening that advantage out, stabilizing this game in terms of that neutral objective, and another kill over to Kale. 2 kills to the Wukong, a huge fight win for them, and it might be another one over to Unicorn after all is said and done.
Unicorn staying a little bit too long. Turtle. I have seen the exact same thing go poorly for Turtle like 3 times in a row. I was so prepared for things to go badly, but Unicorn does go down. It's a kill to the Vel'Koz. 3 kills now on Arrow Fighter. Has the Shadow Flame as the first item, really looking to get that damage, get those executes with the crit on the ultimate here. And Arrow Fighter trying to be in position to carry this game.
Yeah, and that is the one saving grace coming out for Garmin. All 3 of those kills that have come through have now gone over to the side of the Vel, but Yib's in a little deep.
Yib in deep will go down. Yumi will be able to hop onto the Hecarim. I don't think Mr. Turtle wants to go any further, but it is a 1-0 in favor of Ford.
Yeah, good 2v2 coming out for the bot lane of Ford, but now you're looking again, Yib just a little behind this time around. Was actually fairly in control of that lane last game, all things considered, but second Drake easily going over to Ford at this point, and it's just going from bad to worse on repeat for Garmin at this point in the game. Second Drake is free. Oh, it was Chemtech, not Hextech. That's the bug apparently, but yeah, Ocean Soul. Great.
Ocean Soul. And Ford already have 2.
Yes.
This is a little bit rough here. It is all on this Vel'Koz. Arrow Fighter has to pop off hard, and I don't think this is a composition where Arrow Fighter has the ability to. You're looking at a Kale, you're looking at a Tom Kench.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy to burn those down.
There's a lot of safety, but you do have to keep in mind as well how much range this Vel'Koz has and how there's not really a ton of threat onto it. The biggest threat really is just that Wukong, and if Wukong is not able to get in on top of this Vel'Koz, then it's tough. It could be a pretty big avenue for Garmin to really take this game back in their hands. But again, it's all your eggs in one basket right now. It's all on this Vel'Koz, and if this Vel'Koz falls, you don't have a fight left.
Turtle again caught out, will jump back away, still burns down, and Kyler, the ult not enough to save. Arrow Fighter now left in the middle of the fight, and Kyler can't protect him either. Will go down, a triple kill to Rashad, and Ford running away with the game.
Yeah, 4th kill going over for Arrow Fighter, is able to pick off that Lilia, but Turtle caught out. Arrow Fighter got hit by that bowling ball as well. It's so unfortunate how these fights have played out, and now Ford sitting comfortably, 3,000 gold in the lead, evened out those Grubs, 2 Drakes to 0, and now they take that Rift Herald pre-15 minutes. It is all in Ford's basket right now.
Ford. You know, I've realized that we've said that we could have said driver's seat for either of these teams, and it would have been a good bit. and I've just like not
I did
thought
last
about
game
it.
and never picked up on it.
No, like I said it, and I didn't realize how funny
Yeah.
it was. I think it's the problem. It's a good thing to say. Regardless, Ford very much in the driver's seat, pedal to the metal.
Oh no.
Very aware here, and now Arrow Fighter gonna get hit by the knockup, dead center.
Oh,
Gonna
wow.
hit the knockup to keep Unicorn away, and that kept Arrow Fighter alive. Now Sinful Syntax left on the opposite side of the wall. Can Arrow Fighter walk up? No, it is just a disengage, but Ford still pushing the issue and putting pressure on this Vel'Koz.
Yeah, that was a beautiful tectonic disruption from Arrow Fighter. Otherwise, I think Unicorn's able to just jump in, shut down this Vel again, and get a third kill onto this Wukong, a third death onto the Vel'Koz. So really, really big E for Arrow Fighter to just barely stay alive there. And again, this is what needs to happen, right? Everywhere else, your top's not in a great spot. Your jungler is very far behind. Your bot lane is far behind as well. Everything right now is on the shoulders of Arrow Fighter.
Oh. And this Hecarim's really only going to be good for the ult.
Yep.
Too, is the thing. It's Ornn and Hecarim really just are there to be bodies. The Sivir, starting to get a little off the ground here, is pretty even with this Jhin in terms of items, but it's not feeling great. And Arrow Fighter, the one person who is in a power position right now, trying to set up this Vel'Koz is going to be very, very difficult. Rashad dodges out on the Q, still walking forward, gets the passive popped, but Rashad just not even worried because the bot lane for Ford is providing a little bit of extra protection.
Yeah, and Kyler is really experiencing the joys of laning against Kayle as a melee tank, so not the
Yeah.
best time up here in the top lane.
Not gonna get a little easier here too. Miss. No, does hit that ult now. Turtle going forward. Kayle ult to provide a little bit of protection, but the ult from Turtle, Kyler grabs the kill, and Garmin get at least something on the board.
Yeah, and that is much needed as well. It alleviates so much pressure for Kyler G, and Unicorn playing with fire a little bit there, but does end up just limping away after that life form disintegration ray. So again, Arrow Fighter still fairly strong at this point in the game.
Yeah, right now Arrow Fighter getting at least a little bit more from the rest of the team, but things still rough. And Yib, or sorry, Fluffy Pants using the Yumi ult very early. Will not have that for the possible dragon fight. Turtle now getting run down by Rashad. Will have to just jump away back to Arrow Fighter, who also does not have full HP. This is Ford's, honestly, dragon to take. It is a soul point almost assuredly for them.
Oh, and this is the rough part too, is when you give over 4 Drakes early, well, right now it's only 3, right? But if that 4th Drake comes around and once again Garmin's not at a point where they can fight for it, you now are pretty much required to get Grievous Wounds across the board. You need to have it on the Sivir at the very least in those later stages with that Ocean Soul. And delaying your build by 800 gold when you are already this far behind just feels so insurmountable. It is very, very awful. So hopefully they're at a point where they'll be able to fight for that final Drake, or the 4th Drake rather, and get there first. Otherwise, it's going to be a very uphill battle for Garmin in this second game.
I would argue with the wall. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
uphill. It's 90 degrees. At
I
that
would say it's like
point.
85 degrees.
Yeah, it's you're climbing at
Yes.
that point. We're not trying to just walk.
Yeah.
But Garmin, technically not out of it yet. They do have some opportunities here, and we have seen them win some of these fights. Got the Kayle out, Yib getting caught out right now, gonna get hit by the root. Keeping the Sivir alive. Shots from apart, just cannot do damage. The Sivir working down the Tom Kench, but it is a disengage at the end of the day, and a Rift Herald summoned in the bot lane. They're trying to crash this tower and take down the bot lane. TP used, should get through in time, and Kyler is here for the fight. Gonna use the Ornhorn, and Rashad dodges out from it, could not pick which way to go, and that will mean Ford get out scot-free.
Yeah, that needs to be fired just right into that choke point. Lilia, no flash, no way out, but fight's still going on. Rashad finds the sleep.
Up, and Kyler still very tanky at the moment. Simple left alone, ignite used, shots from afar.
Oh, Jin's so far up.
Forward. Tom Kench will go down. Shots gets away, slow does not hit from the Q, still trying to chase down. Yuumi does hit the slow. Q follows up, and the flash from shots will keep him alive. Rashad still going away. Flash from Yib, and that is the shutdown onto the Sivir. Unicorn is TP'd into the fight, but I think they're already out, and Garmin gets something for themselves.
Yeah, but once again, look up towards that top side. Kale getting that tier 2 as now Unicorn's found Arrow Fighter.
Looking tough for Arrow Fighter. Unicorn trying to go on to Yib, though. Arrow Fighter gets away, and Yib gets another kill. You could have gone 1 for 1.
Yeah, that just seems like a mistake coming through from Unicorn. Could have turned back onto the Vel'Koz, maybe look to get some sort of trade back, but instead, Yib picks up 2 kills in that bottom lane fight, and now has 2 items. Sivir is back in the game.
Sivir is looking good right now. And IE Essence Reaver don't even need attack speed just yet. Sivir will be hitting pretty hard. And there's not really a tank. That's the thing. Like, Sivir, at least in my experience, Sivir kind of tickles a lot of tanks. Will be hitting hard now. And with the crit, has the ability to just chunk down some of these squishier members here if you can stay alive, and the Yuumi has been doing a great job of doing that.
Yeah, Sivir kind of needing to get to 4 items to really get any sort of frontline damage through, so not having to get to 4 items and only needing 2 to 3 to really have an impact in these fights will feel much better than if you were into, say, I don't know, a Volibear as an example. So do really like to see that potential adaptation.
Now, Boosted is kind of the unknown here because the Kale has been doing some work on this top side, but every time we've seen Kale get ganked, Boosted has just been dying. So
yeah,
it feels like they need to get this Kale in team fights. If they can play front to back with this Kale doing the DPS, they can run away with the fight. Again, in comes Arrow Fighter. They're going to hit the knockup, and Boosted's just dead. It's the same thing.
Yeah, Boosted just thinking they were able to stay alive just through Ornn, but not realizing or recognizing that Vel'Koz was up there. That Ornn E coming through, Tectonic Disruption while the Kale's in midair, just got CC'd into death. No ability to press that R key after that Ornn E landed, but Yib might be caught.
Now, being back away, in comes the Hecarim, and Yuumi still keeping Yib alive easily. Unicorn going in. Yib might be in a little bit of trouble, is gonna go down, and the Cyclone will mean Yuumi can't jump to another player. Arrow Fighter left alone to try and get under this tower. Unicorn gonna dive for it, get the kill, get away with it as well. And the Dragon also spawning right now at the worst possible time for Garmin.
Yeah, just an ill-advised fight to take Yib stepping too far forward. Rashad playing it well, not burning that ult until after the spell shield was down, making sure Sivir wasn't able to contribute any damage. Unicorn following it up, jumping on in, and now 4 Drakes to 0 for Ford. They have that Ocean Soul already, and now you see Yib pick up that Executioner's Calling, much needed to get any sort of damage down in this fight.
Dodge going on the tower. There goes Turtle. Kyler gonna try and go 1 for 1 here, but I don't think Rashad's gonna go down. Too much healing from the Omnivamp, and Rashad walks away easily here. It's the Omnivamp, it's the Ocean Soul, it's the Lilia passive. There is way too much here to do. Look at that!
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
This is why you can't give over 4 Drakes. It's a 24-minute soul, right? Like, that is really, really fast. And like I was saying before, you cannot afford to offset your major item purchases by 800 gold to try and shut that down. They've done that anyway because they kind of need to. It's really bad if they don't, but either way, it's you lose either way. It's a catch-22.
It's the game feels over. I hate to say, this does not feel comebackable for Garmin, because you just don't have a way to deal with the Ocean Soul. You've already been struggling in these fights. It's been fights at the worst possible time, and Ford are in control of this. We have hit level 14 on the Kale. We are almost at the unstoppable Kale point. Yib still trying to clear waves, and Kyler still trying to fight this Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, the one avenue they have is to just wave clear it out, right? They still have Vel'Koz Sivir. There is so much wave clear on this team, but it looks like they want to fight instead.
Right now, seeing the horn come through, Wukong does go down. A good start to the fight for Garmin is now they're going on too simple, pushing it back to the team, and that's 2 gone. Okay. 2 for 0. Now they get to chase down shots. It's 1 at a time. That's all they needed. Flash over the wall from Kyler. Gonna knock up the Jin. Shots goes down. Shut down over to Kyler. And it's 3 kills for nothing. But the red inhibitor on the top side gonna go down in the process. Boosted, pushing as hard as they can.
Yeah, 3 kills for nothing, but also 3 kills for nothing, right? They lose the inhibitor, sure, but not much burned outside of maybe a flash, it seemed like. Kyler's flash was burned, maybe Arrow Fighter's flash, like a really, really big fight that seemingly came out of nowhere.
Rashad able to clean up the pieces here as Garmin, signs of life still. Do see that Executioner's Calling, did decide to go for that, which is huge for cutting that healing that everyone will have. But I don't think a fight like that is going to be possible again. It was not a 5v5. It was catch somebody out, catch somebody out, catch somebody out. And Ford almost assuredly will not give that same opportunity a second time.
I mean, of note, Jin Flash was burned, so maybe there's an avenue Turtle can find a way onto that 80 carry, shut that down, and all of a sudden the fight, once again, looks pretty winnable, but it is definitely still a struggle. The hope at this point is just you keep Ford away from that Baron, you're able to keep these waves cleared as much as possible, and try to prevent any sort of unnecessary fights.
Ford just have to play slow right now. If they can get that Kale up on the top side or just keep pushing on that bot side, just continue the move-wide pressure. Red tower going down. So far, so good. Ornalt being used. Arrow Fighter getting taken down in the top lane. Boosted still fighting Kyler here. Using the Kale ult to turn the tides, and Kyler has to get back under the tower. Not in time, though. And Boosted takes another kill. They're in the base. The inhibitor's cracked. Boosted walking over to maybe take another inhibitor tower, and Yib trying to clean up whatever mess is left by the team.
Yeah, and they have to try to look for some way to fight this out. Trying to get this wave cleared, not gonna happen.
No, doesn't have the spell shield, and Yib gets wiped off the board. Fluffy going over to Turtle. Turtle goes down. It's just a lone Yumi. Dodges out on the Lilia W, but there's too much. Ford overwhelmed them with force, and the Nexus will go down. Ford, champions of Group B.
Yeah, really, really strong showing coming out from Ford in this series. Just 2 pretty decisive games. There were a few moments that felt a little suspect, but overall, just a really, really strong showing coming out. And once they were able to kind of fight around their win cons, they were playing well. They got caught out once or twice. Second Drake in that first game is a pretty big example, right? But overall, pretty clean, pretty dominant showing, and 800 for their charity is not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it really, really good stuff. Ford looked so in control of this series, and game 1, a little bit rough, a little bit back and forth. This one had the inklings of something similar happening, but it just did not land the same way. It did not get to the same point where Garmin could take over, could start to come back. They had that one bright spot, but they just could not make it happen again. And pick after pick after pick, Ford picked them clean. And congratulations to them. Like we said, I'm going to go over the charities one more time. It is going to be Toys for Tots getting $800. United Way of Greater Kansas City will still be getting $400, so not going home with nothing. But Ford, definitely, I would say definitively the champions of Group B.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a strong showing again. I think Garmin just gave Ford too much early and then started falling apart at the seams again. It was 2 games in a row, the same thing, where it felt like they had a little bit of fight and then it just started going really, really south, really, really fast. So overall, pretty good showing from Ford this time around.
Absolutely. So congratulations to them. But that is all that she wrote for us today. We do not have an interview, but we will just be closing out. I want to thank Brennan for being here, MXL. We do not get to work together enough anymore. So I'm very glad we still have this opportunity to hop in together and do this. I'm going to call out Rhino, who's been running the show behind the scenes. Thank you for making us look good as well. I want to thank every single one of you watching, because we could not have this show if you guys were not watching and we're not cheering on your teams. So thank you all. Hope you all have a wonderful night, and we will see you next time.